Thank you for joining me. I'm going to give people a few more minutes to roll on in because it's not doing a full-on podcast this week. We're not doing anything fancy. Mostly just going to be complaining this week. It's been a long week, it feels like. A lot of stuff happening. I wasn't able to watch Sunday of Rochester, so I got to watch that on stream. I watched the replay of that. That was pretty good. One thing I didn't think about was I didn't get to, because I was streaming it and doing like my own analysis and reaction, I didn't really get to listen to the commentary, and because it's something like super new for our community, that's something I've been paying attention to as someone who's done it. So I might actually go back and watch it again, just to see different styles, different things. Because every time I listen to a broadcast, every time I talk to people who've done it, I always learn something new. It's always something really small and subtle too, right? Like it's always stuff that you didn't think about, but it's because you never thought you'd have to think about it. It's super weird. There's always something small, but that being said, there is the Webcam regional license exam coming up this weekend. It's going to be your last chance to win a bye to nationals, right? It's going to be your last chance to get points on the leaderboard to qualify points-wise outside of nationals. I don't think the last chance qualifiers are going to be giving points away, right? It's just going to be win and ends from that point on. So it'll be really interesting to see. Those are the tournaments I'm excited for. The last chance qualifiers, I might actually end up being in those myself. So, I pretty much have no chance of qualifying on points. I'm really hoping that nationals is just like my tournament. I've made top 16 almost every time, like all but one tournament I've played, I made top 16. And then only in the very first ever provisional did I win my top 16 matchup. And that was mostly based off of my opponent checking a 2 to play a 6 difficulty attack. Like, that is not the growth mindset to have, mind you, but that is essentially the takeaway from that game. So, trying to improve, trying to find a deck that I'm really comfortable with, because I was mostly just playing, I guess, like meta decks, like is the best way to put it. Like I just played Ochako, like I played Tokoyami because it's what someone had when Ochako wasn't available. I didn't get the cards together in time, and it's like, oh well, here's this Tokoyami deck that's already made. Next event I play Ochako, I think I got the spice, I disrespect my opponents, and then 18 points was not good enough in Vegas, so I bubbled out. Pasadena was like top 8 instead of top 16, so 12th place was not good enough there, right? So just not a lot of, and that was the deck, the Toga deck was the one I felt the best at going second about, is the worst part. Like that was the one where if I'm 12th seed, I cared the least, because most of my other tops were playing like Tokoyami, and then I go second against Asui, like what can you do? Then I played Denki to a couple of top 16s, and he's pretty meta relevant, I would say. I don't think that people think about him in the meta because it doesn't seem like a deck you can really prepare for. And a lot of people feel like if you're prepared for stun and committal effects, those tend to go hand in hand anyway. So, like, if you're ready to defend back alley strings, you're probably, in like 1.3 million strings, you're probably ready to defend against Denki about as well as you can. You know, Denki gets to do some really cool sequencing, but it very rarely turns into like an adjustment that your deck has to make. And I think Denki absolutely dies as soon as Recovery Girl starts showing up. Unless you have like the world's biggest Recipro Burst, I guess. Like the Recipro Burst version might have some play into it. Recovery Girl does have some momentum hate symbols though, so she doesn't have like the really good ones. She doesn't have the discard your whole momentum if you block this Exploding Pride, but people who I know are going to be playing Recovery Girl are going to be ready to deal with giving you a ton of momentum, you know, because she wants to get hit. So they're already planning to overcome decks that have some momentum already. But yeah, so this will be the last chance to gain points to get up there. Like somebody who's got between like 15 and 30 points could win this regional and shoot up into the top 10, and then all it takes is a couple people from the top 10 above them to get top 8 at nationals, top 4 at the online nats. Don't forget there's also an online nationals where the top 4 will qualify. So you do have, you know, you have multiple chances to still qualify for the Hero League Championship. But this is going to be your best chance to score some points to do it, I think. I think at this point, people who have a ton of points, like your top 5 to 10 players, are going to be making sure that they get some points. And I think they're going to be practicing a lot for potentially their online nationals deck. I don't know when online nats is going to be exactly, but I think it's going to be this current format. It might be the week after Nationals in Dallas, because that's supposed to be the first event with Set 3 legal, right? That's supposed to be like the first Heroes Clash format event. So, now that I think about it, I have no clue when the online Nats is going to be. I guess online Nats probably will be Set 3 format. I don't know. But so, this is going to be probably like Momo's last hurrah of being the focal point. And we saw Momo not make top 8 in Rochester as well, right? We had Momo at like 9th or 10th, like right outside of top 8. So, not quite the terror. Well, it's tough because all the events that Oswey was going nuts on, there's like a top 16, except for, I think, maybe Origins. One of the convention events, I think, was a top 8, right? So, yeah, Momo had like the mirror finals. She showed all the same results as all the decks that got hit. She even got hit, technically, with Amphibious and potentially Frog Lashing. I think there was a Momo or two. Maybe Kevin Broberg played a Frog Lashing or two. I don't know. I think I would play Frog Lashing in Momo. No joke. Just from hearing, at least from hearing Broberg talk about like the mirror, it's about like who aggresses first, who gets to go balls to the wall aggro, right? And so who can really force those resources out from the other Momo. Frog Lashing seems like a great way to do it for a deck that runs Precious Lesson and Rescue Completed at 4 of. You know, giving you like a really surprisingly early dunk, but I digress. Those cards are gone. So Momo has seen all these kinds of results, and I don't know if Set 3 slows her down at all. You know, we can put this on her symbols, I guess. Right, Set 3 gives her some really great assets. She can't use class lineup, but training weights is going to be like a great way to beat Momo. But Momo's like one of the better characters to use this. You know, instead of committing rescue completed for speed, she can now commit for like repeatable damage type of a thing. Luckily, it has to be the same copy. It has to be like the same exact ability on this card. It doesn't count multiple training weights. Otherwise, Momo would be really good at getting multiple out. And you could just commit for +1, +2, which is 3, +3, which is 6, +4, which is 10, right? If it counted other copies of the asset. If it counted other copies of this ability. But even still, if I'm looking at who's got excess foundations to commit, you know, who's got the ability to bring this up when they really need to, you know, Momo seems like the best user of this, and I think this card is going to be like integral to overcoming Recovery Girl late game. If you're worried about Recovery Girl, this might be the kind of card you need, where build up this massive stage and every attack just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And we don't have like any effects in this game that says you just take 1 damage, so she'll have to take half or nothing, hopefully, realistically. Because if you have 6 attacks, and each of them get +1, +2, +3, you know, progressive, by the time you get to the end, you know, the +6 on an attack seems pretty good. But this also could just be really overcosted, because I don't like this card myself. I don't want to have to invest in it and be afraid that I have to check much better than I used to, right? Or wait even longer. But this is a wall breaking card, and historically wall breaking decks first have to wall up, so we'll see how that goes. And then this is the one that really gets me, although it got me really bad with my initial impression because I didn't see it was a 3 check. Seeing it's a 3 check, you know, later in the day, it softened me up a lot on it. For a character that already tutors really well, and the fact that I was afraid that Momo's going to be the best at bringing this in, using Electromagnetic Stomp, ready it, use it immediately, just not be phased by the 4 difficulty of it by cheating it in, you know. Like, this could be something that I would bow staff into my card pool and bring down if it didn't build committed, right? And even still, just having this available for my next turn, being able to cheat it and build it, you know, without having to actually play it on a 4+ progressive difficulty, this is pretty strong, you know, for a deck. So the one big thing about this is it doesn't discard the cards, right? You pick one of the cards revealed this way, add it to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. It doesn't say to discard or remove the revealed cards. So if this dumped the other 9 cards in your discard pile, I would absolutely say this is like an A+ Momo card, at least as a 1 of. You know, 1, maybe 2 of, because of the 3 check. But it does shuffle them back into the deck, which I think is really good. I think almost every other effect like this for Universus has pretty much always discarded the rest of the cards. You know, look at Stun Grenade, look at Dropkick Slicer. I think that's pretty much it. If you go further back, we played Stutter Stinker with 1,000 Duels. 1,000 Duels dumped those cards in the discard pile. So if Momo said I get to pick the best card to add to my hand and dump the other 9 into my discard pile, which she would get to choose the order of, you know, for things like floating around my babies, like, this could get really insane. So I'm glad that that's not the case. But it still makes her kind of scary. And then the 2 really big ones, just depending on how you want to build your Momo deck, is here's one that grabs any ally card from your discard pile on the life and the good symbol. Both these have life and good. But the life symbol is the one that Momo's primarily played on, right? And so this gives her more filter, another way to stack the top of her discard pile at the end of her turn. Because this isn't at the start of the end phase. And I think this was clarified already, but you know, I know at least the intention, whether or not it gets ruled this way, the intention is the last thing you do. It is not the start of the end phase, which I thought it was, but it just says at the end of each player's turn, that player may draw one card and discard one card. So when it comes down to it, it should be the last thing that gets done on your turn, which means you can set up the top of your discard pile for your opponent's turn, which it's just, you know, it's just like Momo's bread and butter. And then being able to pick up Study Group Leader whenever you see it is kind of nice. I don't think it's worth a 3/4, but let's just take a quick look. Where are the other ally cards on live? I don't know if these... See, this is the thing, is I don't know if Momo plays any other ally cards. Well, this is just Heroes Clash. Let's do this. Oh, Heroes Inspiration is kind of funny. So you can pick up... So one thing that's important is you have now more access to block zones, right? You can add these to your hand. Probably really good for Momo too, actually. Study Group Leader, of course. Childhood Friends, that's a card some people like, some people don't. Yeah, I don't think you play these two ally attacks. But Heroes, if you're playing the Gravity Capture net, create capturing, yeah, if Gravity card names are going to kill me. If you're playing the Create Capturing Net version of Momo, Heroes Inspiration looks really good to grab, right? So, yeah. I don't know if this will really make it in there without like another set of ally cards, but Command Pigeon Flock is super strong. Friend of Animals is pretty fucking good with Rescue completed, right? These cards do look pretty good together. It's really going to come down to how much support there is next set, I think. I think we're like one set away from ally Momo synergy, realistically. But it is the kind of thing where it is, you know, it's something to pay attention to be a little bit scared of. Because first thing I think of is I go, wow, Study Group Leader is really important to this deck, and it has ally. But luckily there's just not enough extra ally support. But the other one, Deku's Notebook. Your rival reveals their hand and you can change the zone. You're just like, you're pretty much Sarah once per game. Like you run one copy of this. Okay. And then here's the other thing is, if you want to run more than one copy of this, you can cheat it in. It's unique, but Momo can cheat this in. Like you could easily find a win condition where you're just changing the zone of like bow staffs that you can put damage on. You know, at a certain point, if your opponent only has a couple cards in hand, if they got bad luck on block zones, you know, and you just happen to have two, two copies of Floating Around My Babies, you know, you can just make like a string of attacks the correct zone, make the world's biggest home run Comet on a low zone that they can only partial, right? This one's also a 5-check. Yeah, if they have no mid blocks and 8 cards, you know? That's the really bad one, because I can imagine a world where you're playing 4 bow staff just because your win condition is so locked around having information, you know? That probably requires other damage pump sources, but life got more damage pump sources. Bench press is another repeatable +1 damage. We can commit carbo loading for damage, right? We get heavy on 3 diffs to do this, but that could, you know, this is the potential evolution, the adaptation. If you have access to that level of information, if you have access to the ability to essentially just like destroy a foundation to look at your opponent's hand and change the zone of an attack, like That seems really strong. That's all I'm saying. It seems really good, you know? Yeah, so that was my first take. Satona says, "Oh man, on command notebook might make me want to play Momo." You know, my biggest takeaway from set 3 is Momo just becomes even better than everyone else. Like right now we're talking like, oh well, she's not crazy good, and she requires skill, and you can pressure her board, and like all these other things that are supposed to make her not be as bad as Kirishima or as Asui. But the more I see the deck get played, and that's a big part of it too, right? Like when the Momo mirrors were happening, and like when the first Momo decks were winning, they weren't on camera. There was no live stream, and it took weeks to get the stuff uploaded. And now that people have played against it, now that we've streamed it, now that I've seen it in action both as a player and as a commentator, it's a better Kirishima 1. You know, she finally got the speed hate to make her game plan work. Before it was like, okay, how do you ever kill anybody? And also, how do you compensate for all your foundations? Well, now, you know, you get more out of them. You're like never committing once you actually block because you've done all your speed hate. And so, in set 3, she didn't get like any weapons, right? Like, we didn't put like any weapons on this symbol at all. Piercing the... Oh. I don't know. Does that happen to anyone else, by the way, on UFS Ultra if you just scroll down? Anyway. I don't know why it does that. But so, like, Piercing Needle, it's not, like, crazy good. I could see a Momo playing 1 or 2 of these. Just because it's, like, greasy... it's, like, greasy guaranteed damage, right? It's, like, no real risk damage. But, you know, they didn't give her, like, weapons. But they did give her some insane assets. So, I think Deku's Notebook is gonna be really scary. Like, feeling like you're safe and protected, and then they check a Deku's Notebook, you know? Like, the amount of times I've lost to a Momo because they checked a floating around my babies, and now it's just gonna be like, oh, shoot, you have 3 cards in hand? Let's take a peek. Oh, it's mid-block, high block? Sick. You know? You're dead. You're actually just gone. True, okay. Alright, I see you. I see you, Satonas. Sometimes the +2 high on Rising isn't good enough to tutor block. Wouldn't hate having the +1 available. And that was the first time for instant Shining Flash, I think. Like, I ran as a 1-of, like, hardcore, and it just becomes more useful as momentum becomes like how we afford these really explosive plays. Yeah, I'm a big fan of having the +1 on every zone, and so the high zone, of course, missing that. Yeah. Luckily, these aren't weapon assets, so like Momo's once per turn, you know, doesn't pick it up. It would have to be a bow staff to grab these. Oh, this is just Heroes Clash. All right. Yeah, add 1 weapon card. So luckily, the once per turn doesn't just automatically go and grab this, and it's gonna probably really depend on people's desires to play bow staff. But you know what this looks like to me, by the way? This looks like a reversal to me. Like the stats, the zone, it goes to momentum and does something. Like, this to me just screams like it should have been a reversal instead of an EX attack. It seems like if I send this at my opponent as like a 6 mid for 3 on their turn, and then it gives me a momentum that I can respond to do stuff with later, that seems like what it was intended for. Or at least where it would excel. And then, yeah, like, if there gets to be more really sick ally cards, you know, like Command Pigeon Flock as a 1-of just to grab just to grab Study Group Leader doesn't seem terrible in a deck that can just also use that enhanced step to grab a weapon card that it wants at any time. You know, it doesn't seem terrible to grab a Hero's Inspiration in a deck that, you know, can be rewarded for having foundations in the card pool, or, you know, is about to end its turn and just draw one card anyway. That was not a great rate, but it's a thing. But yeah, I don't think we'll see the Ally Momo just yet, but that could be a value engine that you have to really look out for. I know people are really high on Carbo loading. I'm not super high on this, but I could see it as a one of. Like, people aren't down to play Excited for Blood, really, so this is, you know, guaranteed stats pretty much. And I mean, like, if you don't need speed at all, you can just commit Study Group Leader for just free +2 damage. Not bad. Big Blue says, yo, what are we doing deck building? I'm really just kind of rambling at this point. I'm just chilling. I'm letting people... I was waiting for people to join the chat before I jump into some super serious discussion. Right now I'm really talking about the Webcam Regional and upcoming Nationals. Like, this is like a little bit of talk of what meta I might see at Nationals. Because we got to start talking about how this might be Momo's last hurrah. A lot of people are seeing this as like the last of set 2 format Momo, and hopefully set 3 shakes things up. But I'm looking at set 3 cards, and Momo's getting stuff, you know? It's not like they didn't print anything for Momo in this set, so, you know, it could be rough. They didn't give her too much. Yeah, trying to prep for Momo and Kiri caused me to lose a bunch of games in Pasadena. Not matches, but I did lose a bunch of games in Pasadena because I was super ready for Momo Kiri. Fought zero Momo, 0 Kirishima, at least until teams the next day. Fought none of them in the actual main event. And then, like, I lose to 0. I lose to All Might 3, you know? And then imagine the people who played out their deck, and then they do really well throughout the whole tournament, and then they meet Momo or Kirishima in the finals, and it's like pretty clear their deck isn't super tuned for beating them, or specifically they might not have experience in that matchup, you know? And you're just like, damn, this person did so good and their deck is so cool, but it doesn't have the right game plan for fighting Momo. So she gets to take another finals. This is a card I actually want to build around. This card, I think, I poo-pooed a lot at first, and I still think it's not good. But you don't need a card to be good to want to build around it. This card needed the ally keyword, actually. This card needed the ally keyword, because if I could play this in Tokoyami 2 and ready it, I'd be down. This is also something I think is going to make next set Momo look really good. Tray Sheet Cape is a 1/5 that adds 2 cards to your hand, and I get that. That's what I hear every time I bring this card up. However, this is a little more flexible because it's not a form. It's more flexible because it is a foundation too. It's more flexible because it adds any attack from your card pool to your hand. And there's nothing wrong with a little redundancy. On top of that, if you stun your opponent out, you know, and they only have like the one reset. Like there's a lot of situations where if you have a stun based lineup and you have like a super late game style win condition, canceling their next non-character ability can be like a guaranteed win. So I expect this card to be a little slept on, but I don't think it's going to be like a 4 of. But it's going to be really frustrating when you lose to a Momo because they canceled your one like stat reset, you know? So, and again, the deadlock redundancy of just recurring attacks like this, you know, if you block the home run comment and then you just get hit by the next one, it doesn't feel great. So, this is going to just add so much deadlock consistency. Riftborn99, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. And I do think the card will look fun in May decks. The showing off, right? She has like, she's great at doubling the damage of her attacks. I really want to use this twice, you know? Because like the math to get this card doesn't count towards progressive to equal committing one foundation requires like typically a level of extension that you'd want to be reading foundations anyway. So this could be really good with the hardened barrage cards, the barrage attacks. I think that's what they're called, right? Oh, that's one of them. Oh, it's hardened and rapid punches. Yeah, so like these two attacks. Is it punch? Yeah, these two. They're pretty. These two pump themselves. It's not too hard to get +4 stats onto these things on these symbols. And making, you know, they clearly want you to string things out, right? So, but that is for nationals. That's for next set. And speaking of next set, did you guys see the Chrome Rares? The Whatnot reveal? I woke up like right after they posted that they were going to be doing it on Whatnot, and I was like trying to sign in on my phone, and then I got up, I turned on my computer, I signed in, and they were like selling Vegeta fig pens or something. So I waited till I waited till someone got the screen grabs for me. These are the, I don't know if they showed any more than this. I assume this is it. But yeah, so like someone help me out. Is Ida trying to play soccer in this? Is this like, is this Ida during a soccer game or something? Yeah, this is all the ones they showed. Man. $100 of each, yep. They have like this writing on the bottom, which I think looks really bad. Crossfade, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how do I put this, because like my take in the beginning was they didn't want to reveal them because you'd have to see them in person to do it justice, and I'm gonna hold on to that thought. I'm gonna hold on to that thought because these don't look great, right? These for one, like, I don't understand their... Where do I start? Yeah, so like, is every version of Midoriya gonna be... Is every version of Midoriya gonna be a Chrome Rare, or is it just Deku 2? Like, like, which characters are gonna be left out of this, you know? Which isn't, you know, it's not like a hard rule that you have to include every character, but people always get upset because theirs favorite won't get picked or whatever. But like, they chose Todoroki 1, even though Todoroki 2 gets played. You know, like the decisions were made a while ago. They did the Chrome Rare with the errated Kirishima 1, which blows my fucking mind. So, okay, so it's literally just 500 Chrome Rares in existence, and it's just these 5 characters? These are the only ones? Ah. This must have been an approvals thing. I don't know. I think they chose these characters because there's a specific episode where they're the only ones in street clothes, right? Is this art not all from the same episode of the anime? Also, are these cards like damaged? Like, can I zoom in here? Like, this one, there's like this silver scuff, right? Like, this has like, it's streamed, it's a screenshot, it's whatever. I don't know where these cards came from, but like, it's just kind of funny that they look like they're damaged a little bit, that you can tell. So that's part of the art, okay. You know, the corners, that might just be more of the chroming. Now, are they textured? Do we know if they're textured at all? It might be kind of nice if they have like ridges on them. I don't know. But like, the fact that they're like in street clothes looks kind of weird. Half, like, everyone but Kirishima is like doing like some action pose, but Kirishima looks like he's grocery shopping. Like, is he like helping somebody, or is he like, is this like a One Punch Man episode where he found a cool sale? Yeah. The lines don't look great. Well, if you don't texture the back, like if the back isn't textured, it wouldn't be marked, right? If you just texture the front, maybe when shuffling, I don't know. Yeah, maybe, I guess if it's the bottom card, you can feel it without looking. But it's a character. Like, yeah, I'm hoping in person they look better. I'm hoping that in person they look a lot better, because right now they don't look great. I don't think the street clothes angle looks good. I don't think the fact that it's all like one color looks good. Like, it's monochrome almost. And then, so here's what's really weird to me is like, this is why I think they might be better in person. Because like, if you look at Kirishima a little bit up here, right, you can see there's like a little yellow. There's like this yellow up here. Oh, I can't move this over. There's like this yellow in the corner. And then if you look at Bakugo, he's like all red, but then there's all this yellow around him. So like, he's the only one that sticks out, like blue on blue, green on green, blue and silver on like silver blue. And then, but then this is like red on red with some yellow. And then there's some yellow over here. So I'm hoping that these are like totally different in person. You know, I haven't held one in my hands. I haven't seen one in person. So I'm hoping they're like totally different in person. But I can tell you guys the number one reason they are a fail for me on the pass fail scale. And that is full art with fucking text. No text box, no borders. Borderless with game information. I'm just never going to be a fan of it. I understand that there's like some stink about full art cards with no game text, with no information. I think you can do like full art bordered and it looks fine. But just like this floating text, the character banner, the symbols just kind of being there, bleeding through, like who asked for that? Like what kind, like who, like I see that in Pokemon a lot and I think it's easily their worst fucking card design. You know? Like if you have full art cards, you just make a fucking rule that you have to have the text-based version to fucking look at. You just have to have the actual version of the card if that's an issue. But it shouldn't be an issue, you know? Like it's just for looks anyway. And especially on like a collector's rarity where, let's be real, you're not supposed to play with these. If I pull one and no one wants it and I can't put it up on the market or whatever, if it's damaged at all, right? Like I'm probably just gonna play with it if it's a character I want. I don't think I would ever play any of these 5 characters except Todoroki 1, so I'm probably safe on that. Like if these are the only 5, like I'm not playing this Kirishima. I'm not playing this Bakugo probably. Unless it gets a sick answer to Face Shield. This would be the Ida to play, I guess, but again, it looks like he's playing soccer. And then Deku 2 is kind of neat, I suppose, but not for me. Yeah, I don't know when they made these fucking choices. Yeah, I don't know when they made these choices for what to foil, because it has the errata text. Like they were able to submit the current legal text for Kirishima and and print it. I thought printing errata versions of Kirishima was kind of silly anyway. I know some people wanted them, I guess, but so few people wanted them, and it just makes it even sillier to unerrata him now. So yeah, I full art with game information just on it, like just borderless, just looks kind of stupid to me. That's just my personal take. Like I think they kind of do that with character cards in general now, right? Like, you know, like this clean line, just this little box, just pulls it all together. I think this shit looks stupid though. I think like just having the number and just the block zone and like this stuff with no, like just put a border, just put one fucking line, just right here, just section. You can still put like how they have the art behind the box, like down here, like you can still see Endeavor's abs and his fucking thick thighs. Like just fucking put a border here and put the flames behind it, and it'll look like cohesively like you fucking put these on this side of the card for a reason. You know? I don't know. Yeah, that's another good point. If I pull a Chrome Rare and it's like not something that sells on the secondary market, like, I don't know, extra rare dropkick slicers, then I'm probably going to play it as a buddy block just so I can shuffle it into the deck. And then Midnight has it on the opposite side, right? She has all of her shit on the opposite side. Yeah. Let's actually look at different characters throughout the years. Oh, these got the thick border on the outside, but they got this floating text box. Just why? Like, oh, at least, okay, so I will say this. At least the My Hero Academia characters aren't as bad as the Yu Yu Hakusho characters. We have come back. I think they got that. Did Soul Calibur do it too? Soul Calibur probably had no No text box, right? Soul Calibur was a godless set with absolutely no rules. Yeah, look at this shit. Look at this fucking crime. Look at this crime against humanity. Can anybody read this on the fucking screen? It's like hard to read on a table. Look at this shit. It's just information just floating. And this isn't like a special art. This isn't like an alternate art. This isn't like, well, this one might be because they had the fucking white and silver and black and shit. But like, you know, it's weird to me. It doesn't look good. It looks like you just started typing randomly in the middle of a fucking card. Like, there should be a section where the information goes, and there should be a section where the art goes, and I don't know when that became like having full art is cool, but make it full art, make it special, make it different, make it the art, not the fucking game information. Like, look at this card. Look at trying to read this fucking card on a table. It's just not happening. I think it was Plant Man was the first one. Where's Plant Man? Where is it? Capcom League Kit? Was it in this? Where's Plant Man? These were this is like the first time they did this. And the only one you can read is Iceman. And it's still hard to read. He's still not legible. Look at this. This is one of the better ones because there's like a purple gradient somehow. Oh, man. Multiple arts for Plant Man. Yeah, so the text box by itself, not my thing. Where's Plant Man? Here you go. Alright, chat. You tell me, chat. What's Plant Man do? You can't. Don't read the text box off the. It's warping all over the place. Read the card. Tell me what the card does. It's so busy. Just put a text box. Put a text box like right there. Also, yeah, I don't think the background was like part of the original art. I think they had like a background and then they put Plant Man there, right? Like, they probably thought no one would care because no one would play Plant Man. And then Scott Summin played Plant Man, and it was such a pain in the ass to read this card. Cowboy Bebop characters, they do that too? Yeah, they did this shit too. Yeah, just impossible to read from a table level. You know. So they've been doing that for a while. Thankfully, My Hero brought back the text box. But then for our special foiling super cool alt-art characters, they fucking suck. Yeah, I think Street Fighter was the first one. It might have been Blood Omen. They did it for so long. I just got numb to it. I think that's one of the things I really didn't like about Heidi too, is I was like, she's actually readable because it's all dark and there's white text, but I did not like this set, this full art. They just look generic. They look like tops. They look like non-game cards that someone just put info on as a joke. Yeah. Battle for Power was the last classic border. These were the only cards with the name at the top. I think a lot of people don't like this setup, and I think it's because the text box is like it's barely there. Like there's no border, but it exists. It has a format to it. It has a space for it. I always thought that having like this little gap on the side was kind of weird. Like the box just kind of goes over, but that's fine. You know? But I like having the symbols in the middle. Symbols in the middle make it feel like it's actually like the core identity of the card. Like the symbols are part of what make the card what it is. It's like front and center, so you can, you know, because like in my hand where it's on the side, fanning it out, I don't care about that. I don't need that, you know. And so it's weird because like when it's in the middle, God, this is gonna turn into a fucking 2-hour. It's gonna turn into a 2-hour Ludo narrative stream by the end of it. So like if the symbols are in the middle of the card, when I'm looking at the name of the card, like I'm just shuffling through my deck or not my deck, my collection, you know, and I'm looking for cards of the same symbol. I'm looking for cards of an identity. You know, the symbol is in the same view as like the name and the art and all the ways that I normally identify a card. When I search through my MHA cards and all my newer cards with the symbols on the side, I'm like searching for art, and then I look at the symbol, and I'm looking at the symbol because it's scrolling sideways like it would be in my hand, and I keep having to check back between the two, and it's just kind of weird. It's something so small it means absolutely nothing, but like if it meant nothing, why did we change it, right? So I think especially for character cards, having the symbol in the middle just looks good. It just looks like their identity. This stuff on the side they were getting rid of anyway. I get that like the old Universus logo might like look archaic and stuff, so they were dropping like the shuriken swooshing shit, whatever. The shield icon is kind of cool, I guess. Like it's cool that it's thematic, and then having the X in the zone is nice. I think that stuff's cool. I think the arrows are cool, but the colors are weird. Having the arrow in the text box is not cool. Look at this guy. Look at this Chad. What a text box. It's so readable. So clear. Still full art. There's still full art characters, by the way, with game information and shit over it. It's just, there's borders where the fucking text is. It's sectioned off. It's plainly readable. How far back? Did anything change? Is this just how it was before Jasco 2? Yeah, they just had like this weird little text. The text box is weird as fuck on this. I'm not really defending this text box. But but I do like the name banners. I like the symbols in the middle. For some reason, having the little block zone on the left seems to make more sense, but I think I just started playing that way. I don't think that kind of stuff is actually super important. I think the shield icon change was good overall. You know, just having the little circle there didn't really tell people much. Look at this art. Come on. What a fucking character card. This art is all so sick. Anyhow, these are the Chrome Rares. I just can't get behind the full art. And the number is kind of whack. The number kind of makes it seem like a Funko Pop, like it was just made to be collected to me. I don't know. And like having a specific number that matters. Like we're gonna see posts where people are like, I've got a 58. Does anyone have a 69 mil trade me? Haha. You know, that shit's gonna be weird. And like, will number 1 be just more expensive than number 92? Will number 100 be the most expensive just because? Like, that shit's gonna be weird. But if there's only 500 in existence, I imagine stores are gonna open most of them. Like, stores are just gonna have the lion's share of Chrome Rares. Although maybe not, actually. Wow, what a good segue. I'm pretty good at this. The stores that found out that their orders are gonna be split. They're gonna be split between Unlimited and First Edition. Why? Actually, wait. I want to say one thing. Let me do this. Let me say one thing. Let me do this before. At least we don't have this. This is my least favorite of all alternate art rarity shit. The fucking stained glass. It started in Dominaria. The fucking church stained glass art. Can we please cut this shit out? They did this for so many sets. They had this in Eldraine or whatever, right? Like, I fucking can't stand this shit. None of these look cool. This is the only one that makes sense to me. This is the only one that ever, like, looked like it should be in this style, which is History of Benalia, which is my least fucking favorite card from that set, because you get so much just generic vigilance, white token bullshit value. Fucking aggro tokens. Hate that deck. Like... yeah, we'll get into... I got started on the store stuff because it was a really good segue, but I forgot that I was thinking about this earlier with the stained glass. But these suck. Don't ever do this shit. Please don't ever do this. These all suck. They've never done a cool one. People like them, I'm sure, but, you know, opinions are like assholes. Even the lands don't fucking look good with it. The shit's all bad. This is the other one that I thought might... like, I was kind of okay with Nicol Bolas at first because I'm a big fan of this Nicol Bolas specifically. But the more I played with this art style on MTG Arena and shit, like, I just don't like it. None of it's good. They have, yeah, they have, like, a whole bunch of just different alt arts, and, like, I don't know why this is so popular. I feel like the art had to be cheap. Like, whoever's doing this can, like, mass produce these, right? Like, they paid for the art, like the actual artwork, and then they just have some dipshit in Photoshop, like, fucking breaking these up into stained glass rarity or something. I'm gonna get toxic. Alright, let me get off this. So yeah, so the stores, right? I'm not a retailer, I don't work for a store, so a lot of this stuff hasn't super affected me. I'm not like a scout, right? Like, that shit just, I don't have it in me anymore. I've been in the community for 7-8 years now, and God bless everybody who can do that shit, you know? God bless the people who can sit at the store and do the demos and try to bring people in, because it takes a certain level of charisma, it takes a certain type of personality, and I don't got it. I'm not it. And those are the people I feel like this is hurting the most, right? This is the stores, the people who are trying to help their stores. I think because we're a smaller community, because we're a smaller game in general, your contact points with people are gonna be people who it's up to them whether the game lives or dies at their store, you know? And I can't understand the decision. Like, the idea that it was supposed to be communicated, everyone's like obviously upset about, right? Because, like, this was the choice. Like when was the decision made for that? But, and see, this is why it's very weird, because I preface this with how this stuff doesn't really affect me, but it makes it hard to sell the game to people. It makes it hard to be that person who is trying to bring other people into the community. I have tried to teach multiple people the game, get them involved, get them invested, you know. And when they join the Facebook group, or they join the Discord and they see this kind of news and stuff. It's like, I have people ask me like, oh, why isn't there like any videos covering this stuff? Like, why don't the YouTubers talk about it a lot? And it's because for the most part we're trying to be helpful, and there's nothing I can say that's helpful here. Like, there's nothing I can do to make it better, and I don't have anything really constructive, right? Like, there's no reason to do this, like, positively, right? Like, there's no reason to choose to do this if there is another outcome. And so you have to assume that, they had a reason for making this decision, especially if it was supposed to be communicated in the first place, which I have no clue how you communicate that to people. What do you tell the store, look, if you want 5 cases of first edition, you have to buy 4 cases of unlimited too, right? Like, my best guess is that they don't want the stores to only buy first edition and not buy any unlimited, right? And there's so many things that come to mind for like, oh, well, we don't have enough first edition for everyone to get some, or we don't have enough first edition to make sure that it's evenly distributed. Like, there's good, like, there are reasons why we could end up here. It just wouldn't be the choice that you'd ever make. And like, how would you pitch that to a store? Like, as the representative who's like, okay, how much Heroes Clash do you want to buy? Right? And you're like, I would like, let's just say 10 cases, make it even, make it simple. So at the time, do you, like, I don't know how it goes, right? At the time, do you pay for it? Did you, like, have people paid for their orders? Like, or have they not processed the payment for these orders yet? Because I can't imagine first edition is the same price as unlimited, right? Especially if they're coming out at the same time. Also, if they're coming out at the same time, how is it a first edition print? They've just been sitting on the cargo boat waiting to be shipped longer? And I'm not trying to make fun of anybody. I'm not trying to like put anyone down, because again, I don't think this is like a decision they want to make. I feel like this is a position they ended up in, and if you wanted to try and put positive spin on these things, maybe there's more demand than was originally planned for. Maybe the game is more popular, at least as far as people wanting to buy and open packs, than we thought, or planned for originally, whatever. But it just, without that information and without any way to compensate for it to make it better, like, I just don't see it working out. Maybe that's why they held back set 3. That's a good point, right? Big Blue said, I think they held set 3 back for a bit to try and catch up and get on track going forward. So like, maybe it got delayed because they were trying to figure out, okay, how do we get enough unlimited to everybody, or not unlimited, first edition to everybody? Because that's the thing, right? Like, there's only so many Chrome Rares. You're not going to print more. Why would you tell people there's only this many if you're going to print more? And so by doing that, they establish that there's only so much first edition you can buy. And so theoretically, you know, one store could just be like, all right, well, we want all the cases of first edition. And now you have to figure out how to distribute it fairly. How are people going to get these out? You know, who's going to fill these pre-release orders? And, like, how the fuck does a store settle their pre-release orders? If everyone who pre-ordered first edition, and you made your order based on first edition pre-orders, and now 40% of what you ordered is not what... I don't know. I'm going over, like, I'm retreading, you know, the same ground that people have done for the whole week. So, but this is why I didn't have the podcast tonight, because I don't want the podcast. It has like a little more officialness to it, and I didn't want the branding to be like me bringing on someone to just complain. But like, it makes it very tough when all the news is basically, oh man, we still don't know information. We're getting information late. We're getting late information that should not be real. You know, it just doesn't feel real to me. That's really it. Like, not being a retailer, not being a scout for a store or someone in charge of doing this ordering, it just doesn't feel real to me that we've been waiting half a year for this set. We've been waiting for so long, and pre-orders have been up, which, by the way, you can use code plugin at unfunstuff.com to pre-order Heroes Clash today. We've been waiting for so long, and pre-orders have been up for like over a month now, and I certainly don't think I pre-ordered Unlimited. I certainly don't remember checking the pre-order Unlimited box anywhere. So yeah, it's super weird because a lot of card games are coming out now. A lot of companies are seeing the boom of Flesh and Blood, and even just seeing like the way that Bandai treats card games and the way that Digimon kind of, you know, had the boom over COVID. People have been inspired to start making more card games, right? Like, it's not a coincidence Lorcana is being talked about 2 years after COVID. And so in that rush to capture that, we saw the Unlimited Flesh and Blood stuff, right? Whatever they call theirs. They have a first edition too. Pokemon first editions are classic collectibles and things like that, and this just got like swallowed up in all that mess. You know, the Chrome Rare thing just got kind of gobbled up, and I think the biggest thing about it is because it's for collectors. It's not for your main player base, right? It's not really for the people who make, like, it by definition is not for the majority. By definition, Chrome Rares, hopefully, 500 copies is not the majority of your player base. I would really like to think that we have more than 1,000 players globally at this point. So, by definition, its scarcity has to be part of its appeal. And so by limiting it so much, though, and by putting a specific number on it, you were really kind of making sure that nobody's going to be happy. Because even if they weren't switching the orders to be 60/40 or whatever they're doing, can you print more Chrome Rares? Can you? Because if they're only in first edition and they have numbers on them, you are always going to make it so that early adopters and bigger stores just benefit. And I get that that's normal for business, but that's not That's not what people want to see from their niche card game community. You know, that's not what stores want to hear when they're buying into your card game is, oh, hey, the main draw in this set is only in first edition, and there's only so many of them, and so you're going to have to buy a shitload of these to, you know, be able to sell the game to people, because I don't know how much Unlimited was sold of Crimson Rampage, or even first edition. I don't know many people that bought a case of Unlimited unless it was severely discounted months after it came out. I think I know one person who bought a case for like $200. So, no, it was less than that. I don't know. But so, like, it was listed at $200 and they haggled down, right? So, as a store, I don't want anything to do with Unlimited. As a store, Unlimited seems like you're literally just selling me a knockoff product that I'm going to open if I have sponsored players, which is not like a ton of that either, you know? And even then, I think most stores would actually rather their sponsored players be fully rarity'd out as an advertisement, so I don't know. But I know a bunch of people who are really going to want one of each of these, and I get it. But at the same time, it just seems like this was never going to leave anyone happy. And then on top of that, to possibly accommodate for that, it got made way worse. So, like, it's just such a weird, I don't, you know, I'm trying to find the original post, because the official line that it should have been communicated earlier makes no sense to me. The fact that people should have known about this makes no sense to me at all. Because, and I'm not saying it's not true. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that it's not 100% the truth. I'm saying it doesn't make sense. Because I don't understand how that conversation begins. Right, yeah. If people would have known earlier, they just would have been angry earlier, right? You know, that's how I feel, Riftborn. Like, if, so, like, and this is where I'm not implying anything, but this is where stuff gets really inky, because if they did know, and they were supposed to communicate, and they didn't, and it's because, again, if I'm your representative and I call you up and I say, look, no matter how much Unlimited no matter how much first edition you want, you have to buy 40% Unlimited. That makes very little sense to me, and I understand why you would do that. I can get why, like, you sound like a bundle deal, like, you know, for every 2 first editions you get an Unlimited as like a bundle, like this is our retailer packages. So I can understand where like stuff will be set up that way. But how do you tell somebody like your total number? And that's the other thing, like I don't know if it was specific to each person. Because here, let me bring this up. Let me just pop this on so that people know I'm not just making shit up. That this isn't my words. It's just messy, and there's no right answer other than it shouldn't have happened. I agree with you, Riftborn. Delaying the decision to inform the stores just seems like they wanted to try and spin it in a more palatable manner. Yeah, so that's, I guess, again, like the dark side, like the very unfavorable spin on it would be that you know going into it that it's gonna piss people off, so you just don't tell them. They just don't know. But that would be borderline deceptive, right? That would be like, if it's done, like, it's not one store. You know, it's not like, oh, I just forgot to send this email out to all the stores or whatever, I guess. Although it could be as simple as that, but it doesn't seem like that. And I don't know, so this guy says 60% of my order will be first edition and 40% will be unlimited. Yeah, and then I actually had to up my order so I could get 5 sealed cases of first edition. So this right here already just doesn't work. It doesn't, like, a 60-40 split just doesn't cut it across the board anyway. And if it's based on total number of cases you ordered, you know, like, how are you going to determine that across all the different stores? Like, some stores want 8 cases, some stores want 5 or 6 or 10 or whatever I don't know what their packages are. So maybe there's like bundles or whatever where there's only so many choices you get and they could all be evenly split 60-40. But this guy had to buy more. He had to buy more cases so he could get 5 cases of first edition. So you know, he's gonna get 3 or 4 cases. 3 or 4, and yeah, like, again, the mass. Otherwise, they were going to send me 29 boxes of first and the remainder in unlimited. Which, are those sealed boxes? I assume they are. But 29 is an odd number, right? That's a case is 6 boxes, as far as I know. So that'd be 4 cases, and then 5/6 of a case. So those would be broken open. And then the remainder would be an unlimited. So, like, why? Why is he just 1 box short of a sealed case? And he's got to order more product. I'm just trying to understand, because he also talks about saying a decent amount of Crimson Rampage that they only ordered to cover pre-orders. So I'm wondering, so I guess they ordered some and then put them up for pre-order and then people just didn't pre-order? I don't know. Yeah, it does not make sense. I want 10 hamburgers. Okay, but 4 of them are going to be veggie burgers. Is that cool? And that's why, oh man. And so that's why I'm wondering, when did people pay for this? When did this guy, because he says 60% of my order will be first edition. And then it says I actually had to up my order. So I could be wrong, but it sounds like he already paid, right? It sounds like they already at least set it up and agreed to this. It sounds like this has already happened and now it's changing. You know, it's not like he was just ordering and then they were like, oh, okay, but so 4 of them are going to be unlimited. Is that cool? It sounds like he ordered 10 and then later on someone was talking to him and was like, oh, hey, by the way, 4 of those that you ordered aren't going to be what you ordered. Yeah. Riftborn says it sounds like he already paid and already had a number of players thinking they were locked in for first edition. Absolutely. He says right here, I was also told I'm not allowed to sell unlimited under map, which is, I believe, merchant advertised price or something. Or market at, I don't know. But you can't sell unlimited under map to accommodate anyone who may not be getting first edition. So I don't know if those are players who already pre-ordered or players who were just expecting to buy first edition at their pre-release. So again, the only possible positive spin to put on this, which I'm glad Jasco did not run around saying, because this is not the kind of thing you want to try and spin any more than people already assume has been done. But as a player, I could say that this might mean we have grown. As, you know, for the future, this might mean that there's more demand than we initially thought. Even though you had 2 sets to gauge that, and things are kind of all over the place, and Crimson Rampage wasn't opened a whole lot, so I don't know. But again, there's like all kinds of excuses for why that is. This set looks really cool as far as like having support for every character in the game. I fucking love that. I wish that was more obtainable going forward. I hope every third set is like that, or something akin to that. I love that design. But I just don't know how we got to this point. Yeah, I think that if they admitted that the game got bigger than they anticipated, though, it's mixed bag, right? Because I don't think many people see that as like a good enough upside to not get the product that they want. Like, that's the kind of thing you talk about in board meetings. That's the kind of thing you talk about in business meetings behind closed doors. That's not the thing you tell upset customers, you know? Like, so I'm glad that wasn't their official line. I do wish that there was something better than we were supposed to tell you, because, you know, everyone going, hold on, wait a second, I'm getting fucked on this? And the official answer being, oh man, my bad, we were supposed to inform you you're getting fucked on this. Like, because no matter how you spin it, if you force me to buy Unlimited to sell first edition, that's fucked. I'm sorry, that's just fucked. Again, I understand why stores would do it, why they would bundle things, but that's just like, if I want my store to sell Masters boosters or whatever the fucking Secret Lair collection, you know, however you want to spin it for Magic the Gathering, like if my store doesn't want Modern Masters because my people don't play Modern, or they don't want the Commander Horizons or whatever, like, I don't think you have to buy those. I don't think you have to package everything together. I could be wrong. And even if you do, that's stupid and fucked up and not FLGS friendly. That only benefits online retailers that are gonna have shit sit around waiting to be shipped anyway. So there's just no good spin, and I didn't really want to make it like the official topic, but I needed to talk about it, man. I needed to give people a place to vent their frustrations here in my chat, because I can tell you guys are upset about it too, right? Everyone's upset, and I want the message to be that I still like the game, right? I want the message to be that despite all of this, I think the game is worth playing, right? Despite these setbacks, the gameplay at its core is still good enough. It's not about collecting. It's not about fancy, shiny stuff. That is a tool that we use to make the money to invest in the future of the game, sure. But at the end of the day, the community is great. The gameplay is great. There are more cards coming out to spice things up, and I hope we get to see a bigger card pool with more interesting like designs, you know, more different play styles be represented, and we're gonna have to get through some growing pains to get there. So I don't think that this is like a big enough slap in the face, or this isn't like a doomsday ship sinking moment. I just think that fucking weird. I just think it's fucking weird that we're in this place, but you know, it's just tough. It's tough to turn around and be like, man, I'm really excited for nationals, but I don't have much information on nationals, and I'm really excited for this weekend's upcoming regional, but you know, we're still in set 2 format. You know, it's still the same format we've been in for like 6 previous events, you know, and so we get stuck kind of focusing on stuff like this when really we want to focus on playing with these cards. Well, not these cards, these are fucking reprints, but you know, it I don't know, it felt like the time to talk about it. It felt like it feels dishonest not to address it, I guess, because I do have so many people talk to me about getting into the game, and I have people who have, since Mega Man, been excited to try it, but they have specific things they're worried about, and one of the things that they're worried about is stuff like, will my order get like I had people who were down to buy in, and their orders got delayed, and they just missed the boat. You know, it's a human thing. It's a just part of the reality where like I'm gonna have to find the time in their life where they're bored and they ain't got shit to do, or they got, you know, the attention span or the schedule for it, or whatever it takes to get them back into the game, because a shipping delay just fucked everything up. And I'm so tired of it just being a shipping delay fucking up people's ability to enjoy the game and fucking up their schedules, because it's hard enough. It's hard enough to if anyone who's tried to run a Dungeons and Dragons game, it's hard enough to get a bunch of adults together on the same day to enjoy 3 hours of fucking card games. You know, it's hard enough to schedule the time you want to hang out with your friends in the first place, and to add extra stress to that just sucks. To just start your experience with an unpleasant purchase, right? It's psychological. It's a little too much. So, but it's always something, man. It's always something that just comes out of left field, and just like, it's something you can never plan for. But I want to shill. I want to shill for the game, you know? I want to stand up and just say, look at all these things that we just do better than other card games. And I can. I can absolutely do that. But every time I work up the script, I got the project actually. Levi put one out before me. I have a should you play Universus. I have one that is sectioned right now for like all of the big 3 games. It's like why Yu-Gi-Oh players should play Universus, why Magic players should play it, why Pokemon players. And you know, the project got really big, and I was starting to split it up into 3 different projects, and my computer just struggles. And every time, you know, a lot of the times I guess that I am like excited to work on it, something just comes out of left field, and it, like, especially for my friends who run the card shops, who run their locals, their weeklies, whatever, you know, they just, you know, something just gobsmacks them out of left field, and it feels like it kills all this momentum for the game, and it hurts the creativity, the inspiration, the drive, whatever, because, you know, it feels like you're ignoring the bad parts, which, again, when it comes to the medium, that's just kind of how it works, right? Like, I don't have to make a video that's all negative, or a video that's completely 50-50, you know, here's all the black and here's all the white on this side. But it does make it hard to sit there and edit for hours and hours on end and reshoot and retake and stuff when, for one, some of the information just becomes incorrect. You know, some of that information in the video becomes incorrect now, because I think I specifically talked about like different rarities in Pokemon and how we don't have certain like extra alt art, basically how Pokemon has textured foil full art shit, and like we don't have those kind of chase rares and stuff. It's like a throwaway line, but now it's incorrect. Now it's not true. You know, now I feel like I have to go edit it out. You know, I have to go reshoot that part. So like part of the issue with having like a super long project is stuff like that. Stuff changes. And so it's stupid little things that Jasco should not worry about. Jasco should not be paying any attention to the fucking editing I have to do for a video, you know? I'm not implying that they should be paying any attention to that or upset about that. But it's just, it's very little stuff like that that makes it tough to, you know, to be a member of the community that puts themselves out there. There's a little bit of, you know, me and Andrew Holder have been kind of teasing each other for a couple weeks now because we have different stress factors with the game, you know. And anyone who's been in the main Discord, the main chord, you know, has probably noticed the two of us kind of teasing each other back and forth and pushing some buttons and stuff. And it's you know, that stuff's all in good fun, but it's like how we deal with it, right? It's how you cope. It's how you confront it. And I'd rather confront it by joking around with my friends and saying, wow, this is fucking awful, than like making a video about it, because there's no drama clicks in this community, thank God. That's like one of the few things about being small is good, is that if this was a major big 3 game, there'd be too much money on the line to not make videos about stuff like that. You know, if my channel was as big as like Pleasant Kenobis or the Professors or, you know, what's it, like the Command Zone podcast, stuff like that, like, you know, you'd just be leaving money on the table by not focusing some attention on stuff like that. So we're lucky in that sense. We're lucky. There's a lot of little things to be really happy about that we're not a big 3 game yet. Especially if you're gonna have faux pas like this come up, you gotta recognize the hidden blessing. You know, the hidden blessing that you only fucked up like maybe 1,000 pre-orders instead of 7 million pre-orders, right? So it's little stuff like that you just have to, you know, remember. The positive spin isn't necessarily ignoring the bad, but it is just trying to deal with it in a constructive way. That being said, who wants to talk about one-check attacks? Is anybody excited for one-checks yet? We got a couple one-checks in the game now. I went to my locals with a Dropkick Slicer deck. I played 4 Dropkick Slicer and I think 1 Sinister Paralyzation and Evil Stain. It was basically a budget deck, except for those 5 cards and 4 Excited for Blood. All of which, by the way, I got all the Dropkick Slicers, and I got all the Excited for Bloods strictly from prize support between Orlando and Pasadena. All the packs I got for top 16. Those packs had all these sick evil cards in them. In like 60 packs, I managed to pull 2 Dropkick Slicers and 2 extra rare Dropkick Slicers, and I went, well, it's a sign. It's a sign from God. I gotta play Dropkick Slicer. And so it was pretty interesting. Evil just had like the best. I had like an evil popper deck I was gonna play in the Unfun Fridays weekly, but I ended up not being able to do that. So I ended up playing evil with Dropkick Slicer because I had all these good zero diff commons already. Like, look at this shit. This is insane. Not only do we have 6 options to choose from already, but Floating Around My Babies is super good. Stronger in Darkness is very similar, right? Like, Stain does commit himself and lose damage pump when he does. You're supposed to do it on the last attack, but, you know, this gave me some flexibility. Surviving the final, one of the only ways I'm going to block attacks with this kind of deck setup. I did play Rooftop Vantage because it has Stain's face on it, and I did need some low blocks. And I also even played Desperate Times and a Keen Observation. So I had like a 1 of this, I had 2 or 3 of these, I had like 1 of these, maybe 2, I had 4 of this, I had 1 or 2 of these, and I had like 2 to 3 of this one. So a huge part of my deck was zero diffs, and it's fine because almost all of them have a stat-based effect. This one is like a bonus damage, this one is like a stun one, this one is like, well, this one's just a bonus damage. This is minus speed, right? It's like a bonus foundation on defense. So maybe the most important one. Definitely I think the only one I had 4 of, actually, yeah. So having really good zero diffs was super important. On top of that, my 1 diffs were pretty bad, but they filled pretty good roles for having 1 checks. I had Zoom as a 1 of, just to look at the top card of my deck so I don't check a 1 to start my turn is super sick. Down for that. I had Intimidating Presence because it has Stain's face on it, but again, this one kind of counts as like it counts as more cards than you think. The -1 speed is a little more relevant than it probably should be, but this was a locals. I'm playing at locals, so you know, not the most high power decks. And then I had a Clever Distraction. I think I had a Shock Absorption just because Speed Hate is pretty relevant when you have no other defensive plan. And I had 1 Villainous Entrance in case people were building stuff. I did actually end up playing against a Momo, but it still never came up. And the stun, I actually built this a lot because it's a 1 difficulty. And the stun came up a lot, which was kind of nice. And then 2 diffs, I didn't have too many 2 diffs. I had Hero Killers in there, and I had Challenging the Fakes. And the Challenging the Fakes straight up won me the game against Momo. It was super, super clutch. It was just actually really clutch to slowly get a bunch of these out, and then as soon as Momo wants to commit to that long string attack, and specifically, like, Momo's not putting a ton of damage on all the pokes to set up, and removing a bunch of cards from the discard pile early on to counteract the minus damage was not something they want to do, right? And the biggest thing is I didn't fucking hit Momo. Actually never dealt damage to Momo for like the first 4 turns. And I'll be honest, I was surprised. The Momo player at my locals is, you know, someone who recently picked up the game. And like a lot of people I've met, they're pretty new to card games in general. And so I thought I was gonna sneak a poke in. I thought I was gonna, you know, get in there with some tricky lines, you know, make them think twice. Just kind of let them use that 26 health to save themselves. And I don't know if they were specifically trying to deny the Stain response, but they did such a good job of defending. I was pretty impressed. I know a lot of people are going to scoff at that and be like, ah, man, well, it's Momo, man. It's Momo. She's got all the tutoring the blocks, and she's got the rescue completed, and the -2 of the speeds. But it still is, you know, double blade slash turn 2 into double blade slash turn, you know, same turn, obviously, with all that extra stun and stuff like that, and recognizing that keeping Stain's response unactive and prioritizing their build. It was nice to see, right? Like, it was nice to see, like, the evolution of one of your newer players. So I was really happy with that game a lot. But the challenging the fakes was my backup character ability. And I had to face tank a lot, and I had to draw super good and have all of the right attacks. And the biggest thing was the dropkick slicer. So if I was not playing dropkick slicer in that matchup, I would have never won, because the matchup came to a head when Momo was at 21 life and they went for this kill streak. And I had gained back up to full 29. Stan starts at 29 from playing dropkick slicers and activating Excited for Blood off of the burn. And that had burned Momo down to like 21. They had Excited for Bloods too, and like chose to draw once and like keep one. So like I burned like a total of like 3 off dropkick, and they paid 2 on like a turn 2 to draw a card. And like it was just super weird, because I'm looking at their health and I'm like, oh, they're at 21, but I still don't get my response. Like, I still haven't dealt damage. That life loss from the effect doesn't count. And I think I had like a keen observation as part of it, right? So I'm like worried that Rising Starlight is just going to gain this all back. I'm afraid that I'm not going to get to use my own Excited for Bloods later, because they're building Excited for Blood. And a really big part of it was surviving that turn through check hacks. The Momo player having to have bad luck to also check poorly on the other attacks, right? Because challenging the fakes doesn't end your turn. If you check poorly but you just have more gas, it's fine. You just play your worst attack. You play like a defensive attack, like the net gun surprise, right? Like that's like a block card, like whatever. This just gets -4 to this check. Fuck it, it's gone. We're gonna keep going. So them starting at 21 and me being able to stun out the Excited for Bloods that they had, so I could use my Excited for Blood to dig one card deep enough to draw another dropkick slicer. And like it had to be like a dropkick chain dropkick like into knife slice, because it's just fast enough. Because if they had, Momo can still just blow up foundations and block shit on a 5. Like, my +1 speed, not that relevant. But getting to hit early on in the turn off of a bad check and having the -3 and like all that stuff, managed to just like barely deal 21. And again, like it's like through an Excited for Blood that has to be stunned out, or else I don't get to draw, or else they get to heal. So it was just a really cool game. But what was really interesting about it was being able to play around the 1 check, because I have all these really strong 0 diffs. And so I want to take a quick look into the next set, and I'm just going to look at what are the best 0 diff foundations. I'm going to include assets, but there aren't any. But we're just going to take a look, because I think 1 checks are going to be pretty relevant coming up in a minute here. We got Quick to Act. This is one I'm very scared of in Tokoyami. People are talking about Evil Tokoyami coming up, and like this has evil on it, and evil's the symbol where you cut life. So this one is super good because it's repeatable. Yes, it requires you to be at less than half health, but if it's our turn, that doesn't matter. Our opponent can't attack us on our turn. So we'll probably just be fine to keep going anyway, right? And then we've got Acrobatic. Acrobatic is pretty cool because it can get around progressive difficulty. It can, well, I guess it can't trigger Amphibious anymore. They previewed this like right before banning it, and I was like, huh, another Amphibious activator. Nice. And then while it's committed, you can give an attack -speed, which is sort of like a gotcha style value, right? Like it's just 0, it's fine. Like Most of the zeros just give like a little +1, but the ones that are repeatable are huge, way better. Basic training, again, it's like once per turn, but in deadlock, a 0-diff deadlock threat, and it's playable while committed. Pretty good, but really only good in deadlock. I do think I'll see this card get played with Twisting Azure, Inferno, and other decks, though. Easily Excited is super interesting because it gives speed and a keyword. So, like, Midnight just gets way more speed, but I'm wondering why this one didn't give damage. I feel like it should have given damage in taunt. So, like, in Midnight, it's a 0-diff that once per turn gives 1/1. Now in Midnight, it gives speed. It gives 2 speed if you commit a foundation. So, Battle Resolve, you need to have 2 of it, but after you lose health, gain 1 is kind of nice. Internship with Best Genus. We don't really have a deck that's like turbo flipping quite enough yet, but in the decks are trying to do stuff like that. This is pretty good. Just a 0-diff, they flip 1, no real, and it powers up your discard pile. Floating is probably the best 0-diff there is. It's got 2 keywords which can be relevant, and it's essentially repeatable. Its cost is very little. It's very situational that is a real cost for you. So probably the best one overall, just because anybody can have a discard pile. Rooftop Vantage is nearly useless. I do think it's big funny with like Nezu and Chivalrous Competitor. If you look at the top card, then you make them draw it. Like, that's kind of tight, I guess. But even when I'm playing Stain, I get to know what your check is before I hack it. So it's interesting sequencing when this would matter. Like, I'd have to have a speed buff that I'm waiting to use. Surviving the Final, just super good. It's at once per turn just because they hate defense more than they like offense. Like, look at this card. Look at this card. Look at how repeatable this card is. And this card's once per turn. It's fucked up. They got it right up here. Once per turn for offense, too. Should be fair. It should be equal. It can't be fixed. One of the most nuts 0-diffs of all time, specifically because the +1 high block. It is a completely response. It's a completely responsive card, but that response is so good. It's so strong. It's any number of cards, by the way. So if Midnight plays Somnambulism and commits your character, you can flip it, can't be fixed. Basic training is fair until you get to deadlock. I will stand by that. Basic training is fair, and basic training is more fair, basic training is more fair than floating around my babies. Come on, you got to give me pre-deadlock. Come on, you got to give me that. More like, I'm not like basic training, more fair than floating around my babies. Come on. Come on, it's got to be more fair than basic training. Or it's got to be more fair than floating around my babies. Come on now. Yeah, they're both bugged up. I think basic training is really fucked up in deadlock, but I think once per turn it gets 1 damage, not too bad. I do think it makes Toru way more playable, though, right? Like Toru 1. I think it weirdly makes her way more playable. Flash a big throw. So requesting assistance is a lot like it can't be fixed, but it's like you get to control it, right? It's not a response. So these are like 2 of the best 0-diffs of all time, in my opinion. Because a 0 difficulty that handles your resource count is like the closest thing to free you're gonna get. 0 diffs that increase your resource count are they're just so good. They help you compensate. Like And this is going to be the card I think I'm going to focus on in a minute. But Stronger in Darkness, super repeatable, super fucked up. Thank God it's basically limited to only certain characters' game plans. But they'll probably make really good commit costs coming up pretty soon. Gotcha is nice, but I'm seeing this card get played less and less. It's still sort of reactive, and committing your own foundations for costs is just fucking cringe. So I don't know how many cards they're gonna have to make that care about when you commit them, but they don't all share the same symbol right now. And Gotcha is kind of getting left in the dust. Recovery Girl's Kiss, this actually becomes more relevant as time goes on, because they're making these little ping effects, they're making these little burn effects, and when I played against Jacob Johnson in Pasadena, this actually like fucked up my game plan. I was down to burn him 1 health per turn every turn because I could block and just gain life. And then he started looping Recovery Girl's Kiss with back alley haymakers, and I was like, huh, this is kind of fucked up. Like, and he, because of all my threes draw and shit, he hit like 3 turns in a row with back alley haymaker and like had recursion for it and stuff like that. So it's still not a good card, but it's becoming relevant if you can tutor it. In Danger is fucking useless. Fuck this card. I've tricked myself into playing it like 1 time, but fuck this card. Desperate Times I get more and more appeal for. I'm starting to like this card more and more. It's still super reactive and something I end up committing first a lot, but surviving turn 2 is just like the name of the game right now. And if you have, I find that this card gets better with good deadlock threats. Like, it's good really early, and it's good when people are pinned at 10 foundations and you start sculpting. And something that it's really nice that it's on like Order and Water to play around all the 2 checks that they have. So this is like, again, messing with resource count, but in the opposite direction, right? Release is a fucked up card and should be banned. And I'm not joking. This is just a fucked up card. Thank God it's a 4 check. Like, actually, thank God it's a 4 check. Because if it was a 5 check, I would slam 4 copies of this in every deck on symbol just as a 0/5. And I'm about to have to start doing it because it's just so much production on defense. And if you live to see another turn, you can build out and have another chance. Yeah, and why does it block really good? Oh no, I drew a release. I need one in my state. Oh, I can just block with it. Yeah, fuck this card. Keen Observation is nearly useless, especially since it can't kill people. If it could kill people, probably would have to be like a 1 diff or else people would bitch, but yeah, this card not great. And then Tight Lip also, why does that have a +1 mid block? Like this, so this is what I'm saying, right? Like release, if it's just 0/5, I can just jam this in any deck. Tight Lip, I don't think I ever play a deck on its symbols without at least 1 copy. Plus 0/5 +1 mid, just like deck construction wise, so good. Like consistency wise, so good. Then on top of that, it's generically useful for any deck that ever attacks, that ever wants to deal damage. Just so good. So good. So the ones that stick out, right, are the ones that are repeatable, and specifically ones that don't have difficult hoops to jump through. But I think my favorite is Requesting Assistance. Specifically because getting to use the effects on a better foundation repeatedly is really good, and just increasing your resource count is just so, like, it's still generically useful. Really funny too, I have actually, back when frog lashing was legal, I have actually flipped this with no momentum. Because the cost is enhanced flip. You're legally allowed to play it without momentum. It just doesn't do anything. So, you know, fuck frog lashing. So why am I telling you all this? Why are we talking about 0 diffs and playing around 1 checks and things like that? Well, after playing with Dropkick Slicer, I have become more okay with playing one checks, and specifically one checks that add cards to my hand. Playing double front beatdown was neat, but even if I hit 2 foundations, it wasn't always the most impactful thing to do, especially since when you're playing one checks, and especially in set 1, you're oftentimes playing some kind of blank cards, you know? You're oftentimes not, especially like even if you hit release, like it's for next turn, right? So when I was playing with Dropkick Slicer, it actually just felt so good to draw them, and checking them once or twice early on in a game wasn't too bad. Of course, checking a 1 to block a lethal attack feels miserable, but if you can power through your deck fast enough, you can find them all. And one of the things I found that I really liked was I would have like 2 of them in my opening hand, and then have like a 1 diff, a 0 diff, and 2 other foundations. And I would feel really good about that. I would actually feel like really strong. I was calling it the Shinobi Keep, because secretly this is a hand I wouldn't normally keep, because it's just like, it's very medium at best. And especially with 1 checks in my deck, you know, like the 1 and the 0 are the most important thing. But if I know I can't check half my 1 checks, then the likelihood that I can actually play out on a 3 curve is much higher. So that was actually something that was secretly really good for me, was just actually having like more than 1 in my hand. If I only had 1 and I really needed foundations, or I really needed like lower curve stuff, I would mulligan it. But because it was so good turn 2, and it's so good with cards like Excited for Blood, which I can now again like more readily play if it's in my hand, it was fine. It was absolutely fine. And Dropkick Slicer has a +1 block, so that's really cool. Which brings me to the deck that I'm trying to figure out. This is a deck I'm trying to make work. This is a deck that I would love to be good enough to play at Nats, and it's been on 3 different symbols. I've had 2 or 3 different characters for it. I can actually move this over in a better way so you can see what the fuck I'm talking about. Gotcha. Alright, there we go. And this is my latest iteration of it. This is Shigarakitu, which, by the way, if you saw the fan vote on Facebook, the only proof you need that people are trolling the fuck out of those votes for the best character in set 3 is the fact that Shigaraki lost to Stain in the first vote, because this character is 8 million times better than Stain. It makes no fucking sense that people would vote the other way. And then on top of that, Recovery Girl lost to Death Arms. So I don't know who the fuck is trolling those Facebook votes. I don't think I voted in any of them, so I'm part of the problem. I get that, but you know, whoever's trolling the shit out of Thomas Redmond's votes, like, God bless you. More power to you. Because there's just no fucking world where Death Arms is better than Recovery Girl. Like, just fucking not even close. Get out of here. Anyway, Shigarakitu. What's really important about this character is something that my friend Brandon Jones pointed out to me, and what led me to the chaos symbol, which is he doesn't say the word fury anywhere on him. Shigaraki 1 actually didn't care about fury attacks either. He just happens to all be fury, and he happens to play very, very well with Nitro Explosion Ignition, which is what I was focused on for a long time, but I just don't think it's that important anymore. And so part of the reason is because actually trying to get Nitro Ignition to stay in the card pool for the combo of the deck just wasn't coming together. So like I was never getting like the 1%er super upswing play, so I figured I should just try to make a more well-rounded deck. And so basically the combination of this deck is you deal any amount of damage with Shigaraki, you can immediately get momentum, and you can play Heroic Clash. It's not really spice. Damn Deal said you're not liking the spice, are you? This isn't really the spice, right? So the spice that I had, if it's still here, was on air, right? Yeah, so I don't know what your spice is, Daniel. If I'm leaking it, it's by accident. I don't remember your spice. So my spice, this is the original thing that got me started. Ultra compressed weights with nitro ignition. You can respond, and it says after an attack is played, it cannot leave its owner's card pool during the combat phase. Playable while committed. And then nitro ignition, of course, says after a fury attack leaves your card pool during the combat phase, add the top card of your deck to your momentum. So when you use the enhance on Heroic Clash, itself is a fury attack. It would leave the card pool. Compress weights would make ignition stay in the card pool, which means it will still be there to respond when Clash leaves, and you get to refund that momentum. On top of that, I love this interaction with Tentacle Strike, because Tentacle Strike says after a card leaves your rival's card pool, commit one rival foundation, and that's for any reason. Now, Mentor Legacy Punch protected this combo, and so I really like this all on the air symbol. And like Stun Grenade can dig for Heroic Clash because it's Fury. Like all this stuff just looks really good, but it never all came together. When it came like practicality, said that basically I just get a momentum and I start using Heroic Clash and I start stringing out, and like because Tentacle Strike didn't say due to your rival's effect, Heroic Clash could make my rival clear their card pool first, which means I could respond with Tentacle Strike, which means if Nitro Ignition is in my card pool, I can actually get 2 momentum, because this will leave first because they clear their card pool first, and then I respond, and then I get a momentum when it leaves for the remove cost. And then Heroic Clash would finish resolving by removing itself, and then Nitro would stay. But playing a 3-diff asset with 1 checks just wasn't working. And like having a deck that's like built to spend momentum as fast as I get it, and having requesting assistance made it like weird to sequence. So this just wasn't really working out. And it was a few too many pieces. So instead of trying to get like really synergistic with it, and after it was pointed out to me that I don't have to play Fury attacks, I thought to myself, okay, it says non-throw, so what are non-throw attacks that always deal damage? What's the most niche card that no one has ever played from set 1 that always deals damage? It's not Float Combo, it's Electric Jolt. And Electric Jolt is just a super solid card in general. So I thought, okay, Jolt can give me guaranteed momentum to get the ball rolling with Heroic Clash. It also has insanely good 0 diffs, right? It has all of the 0 diffs we just complained about. It has all the 0 diffs we were pointed out, right? Like requesting assistance is nuts, release gives you some actual defense, and easily excited is just a free speed. This one, this will probably become another basic training if it's not for the block zone. Yeah. So this probably is another basic train, but still it's free stats, and basic training is really important because of Twisting Azure Inferno. So besides having really good 0 diffs, you can have check bonuses, right? If I can resolve 2 Twisting Azure Infernos with the damage bonus, all of a sudden my Heroic Clashes are 3 checks, and now I only have 4 bad checks in my whole deck. Everything else is a 5 or above. And so Shigaraki not having any damage pump, and this card being designed, right, for Dabi, like, it's designed so that Dabi is the best one for activating it. This is just kind of where I've ended up. I like this lineup a lot because they're all 4 difficulty. There's not a ton of punishment for actually checking the one right, or it's not like as bad as it could be. It helps you play around Breaker a little bit better. And then Freezer Burn. Freezer Burn has your rival readies one of your foundations. So this is something I'm looking at too, to be really impactful in the next set. I do kind of hate how much of the attack lineup is mid, and like Home Run Comet without progressive difficulty, because you're going to be clearing both card pools, doesn't seem super great. But I haven't done a ton of testing. But this is what I'm trying to really make work. I'm at the point where I'm really just trying to make Heroic Clash work, but at the same time, like, there's so many cool little things to do with it. So Award the Victor on Chaos also basically just lets you rebuy the same Heroic Clash, right? So if you can get Heroic Clash to deal damage, which admittedly it doesn't deal damage a lot. Admittedly, 3 mid is not the most reliable thing for dealing damage, which is one of the reasons I had Easily Excited, right? Like, I'm like, I need probably some speed pump in this deck to realistically hit people. It's going to require speed, and One with Nature helps with that a lot. But people also really like to block Heroic Clash because they know it's going to be cleared from their card pool. They know it's not going to add to that progressive difficulty. So it's the kind of thing where this probably won't end up happening a whole lot, but when it does, you're going to absolutely steamroll people, where if you're hitting with Heroic Clash, right, you're almost certainly hitting with other attacks, and when you hit with Heroic Clash, you get that momentum back because of Shigaraki. So you know that drawing that next Heroic Clash is just free real estate. The reason we're not maxing One with Nature is strictly because it is a 2 diff, and we do have 1 checks in the deck. It's also the kind of thing where there's a lot of turns where you can't afford to discard like 2 to 3 cards just to force your opponent to tap out to then try and get the ball rolling. But it might be maxed out because this card is insanely good. It would also allow me to run some more Midnight cards with the discard synergy, right? Like, I've got All Worked Up because I can play it while it's committed to give my next check +1. So this is, again, like, just more resource management kind of stuff. And it is also helping me with Azure Inferno. So again, this deck isn't like super tested, guys. This deck is not I haven't had a chance to test it a whole bunch, but I think this card and this card go together really well. And while I would love to do it on Death or Fire so I could have Nitro Ignition, Nitro Ignition doesn't actually combo with Heroic Clash at all without Ultra Compressed Weights. And if I'm being really honest, 2 really important things about that combo. 1, you get absolutely fucking shit on by Face Shield. Like, you're actually just so fucking over getting Face Shielded when you're playing Nitro Ignition as a straight up combo piece that you Ultra Compressed Weights. So, like, you can't even use Forcing Surrender. Like, a big part of the Death and the Fire version is you can use Forcing Surrender to combat Face Shield, but if you blow your Compressed Weights on it, you can't do that. It's still the same card. It's an assigned effect, right? So it should be the same. Let me see. After your attack is played, it cannot leave. It cannot. This should be an assigned effect, just like Crow and Frog Takedown. So I'm not 100% on that, but it should be. And so I would believe that, you know, you wouldn't be able to Forcing Surrender it later. And so I would just rely on my opponent trying to counter the E remove cost on Nitro to just Compress Weights me anyway. So that might be something that's cool. But again, like that whole synergy just doesn't really come together. Tentacle Strike isn't that strong of a card on its own, and when it comes to this system, there's a lot of combos just aren't that good. A lot of like card synergies aren't that good if the card itself is not amazing alone. And so that's why I'm a little bit afraid with Twisting Azure Inferno, and I'm a little afraid with Home Run Comic, because I'm going to be clearing my own card pool. But this is mostly here to fuel Heroic Clash, actually. This is actually mostly here to fuel Heroic Clash most of the time, I think. And we're really just trying to stack up the check hacks and maybe get a little bit of stun going. So this probably needs like a 1.3 million or a real finisher behind it, but I know that One with Nature can do a whole bunch of work. So yeah, this is just kind of where I'm at. I wanted to talk about playing around one checks because I think the Chaos symbol can do it really well. I think that the Chaos symbol struggles a lot with card advantage. You don't have like just really good generic card draw effects, unfortunately. You don't get the refund on One with Nature because you don't have any means necessary. You do get recovery time, which is pretty sick. This card is pretty good. You know, just respond. Like, this is going to be better than a partial block 90% of the time. And then Evil versus Good is super good because we're so reliant on this resolving, and there's cards being printed in set 3 that cancel the enhance on it. There's a 13 card called You Can't Escape Me, which can cancel Heroic Clash, so you do want to be careful about stuff like that. But I'm hoping that this works. I'm hoping I can get something like this to work. I doubt this will look anything like a final version, but I think there's a lot of cool interactions you can have, and like Electric Jolt plus Shigaraki and like all this extra momentum he can get might be the way to do it. But if I can ever find a way to make this version work, I love the All Might 3 on top as well, because it's like, yeah, your opponent gets to draw 2 cards, but All Might gives stats for that. So like, they can't outrun the stats you're giving now. I think that's really cool. I might try looking at it on the All symbol with Chivalrous Competitor. Heroic Clash plus Chivalrous Competitor sounds like super funny in All Might 3. You just make your opponent draw a million cards. Heroic Clash and Nezu, right? Nezu has a really funny interaction where after your opponent draws cards from Heroic Clash, you get to draw an extra card. And he has 2 Chivalrous Competitor symbols, right? So that might be a deck I try to put together, but the main reason I bring it up is because I suck at deck building and I need help. I need help from somebody out there who thinks that this combo is super cool and wants to make it work too, because I've hit kind of a roadblock. There's no real like deck cohesion. It's just different things that kind of make the combo work, and I don't have the pure card value in all these different versions I'm trying. I did have Price for Peace in one. I thought that would be super funny. I had Eraserhead as the start of one, because being like a wall deck that can survive until you can pass checking through a 1, and you have all these resources, because with the Heroic Clash game plan, you can't hand tax your opponent. You're actually board taxing them. You're actually getting to the point where, you know, they have a clean card pool, but everything's tapped out. So stats like All Might and Eraserhead to push through when they've eventually just blocked so many things on a 5 and a 6 and stuff over and over is pretty funny. It also might secretly be good against Momo because you remove any weapons that she blocks with. So like if she blocks Heroic Clash with Quick Creation, oh no, yeah, I get the Breaker 1, but that gets removed from the game. So I love that idea too. I love like just all these hidden little interactions. Nezu definitely seems the funniest, and it's the next version I'm gonna try, but I think All Might 3 probably benefits the most. But yeah, there's so many different ways to go with this card. but making sure that you actually punish your opponent for having cards in hand and like stunning their board out is probably the most important. I think it's in this deck too. Is it? Yeah, it's in this deck too. All my recent decks are Heroic Clash decks, so yeah, I think the two most important parts of it is just you have to be able to print momentum and you have to be able to put speed on things. I don't think just pumping damage is going to really work. Maybe if all your other stuff is really like high base speed, like 5 speed attacks maybe. Yes, Hero Clash is the secret rare. So this deck is also going to be like, I don't know, $500 for the first month or two. Hopefully, my beautiful sponsor at Unfun Stuff would like to help me make this deck a reality, you know? Unfunstuff.com. You can use the code PLUGIN to get a discount on all your Heroes Clash pre-orders. And all your gaming needs, really. They have, they've got a stock for all kinds of games now. They got board games. They've got, I think, minis now. I know they were demoing, like, Primal, like this new card game that's coming out. So, yeah. Code plugin at unfunstuff.com. Help your boy out. Yeah, secret rare in the next set. Gonna be interesting to build around. What are the new foundations? Let's capture evildoers. Alright, I'm being sold on this. Let me... Okay, well, that's happening now. 9 Heroes Clash, alright. Can we make... Oh boy, there's not a lot. It's basically punches. It's basically punches and capture evildoers. It is a punch though, right? It is... Huh. Alright, let's make a deck real quick. This will be the last thing I do, I think, and then I'm gonna sign off. Let's try All Might Clash. Let's try to make an all-symbol Heroic Clash deck with Chivalrous Competitor. I don't think we actually play Detroit Smash. Playing 1 checks and 2 checks seems like you can get away with it, but I don't think it's actually worth it. I don't think turning 1 momentum into 3 momentum is going to let me chain. Maybe it will. I'll have to test this, I guess. And then... Did I actually put the character here? I did not. There's Air Might. And then all got Nullify, which is pretty sick, actually. But I think with Capture Evildoers, we're not going to have too many other action slots. Flux Your Might doesn't really work with this deck because it would get cleared from the card pool. Symbol Piece also kind of wants to chill in your card pool. I'm going to throw 1 price. No, I can't. Alright, we'll throw 1 plus Ultra. We're momentum hungry, but it's solid 1 of main board. USJ, your second attack gets +2/+2. Yeah, that's why I wanted to do air at first. Seizing the advantage and ready, get, set, go. Right? Ready, get, set, go to plop down just foundations to build around the 1. And if you check the 1, like, okay, cool, I didn't draw it, or check it to build on my turn. Earth might have a really good Heroic Clash deck, and I'm just not looking at it because of synergies. So USJ can potentially help our opponent. But it also counts as stun hate. I don't think we'll need that. This is a 3 check. This doesn't actually help our game plan. Oh, this could be kind of... I'm going to put one of on the side because there could be a funny interaction with Heroic Clash soon. Like, if you quick create in something that cares when it leaves, I don't think that it... Oh, it only exists with Frog Kick, right? On life. If you play Heroic Clash, you quick creation in Frog Kick, and then Frog Kick gets removed when you Heroic Clash. I did have that in one deck. But again, like, there's so many cute things to do with this card that I'm trying to focus in on what would actually work. So because of pull no punches, we're probably a little focused on punches, right? Let's just look at punches first, see if there's a bunch of stuff we like. Karate Chop is kind of cool, but we're not Bojiro. It's like the all-symbol Heroic Strike, though. Oh, now you want Detroit Smash? You of all people. I expected better from you. Hardened Steel would be really sick if I had practice with this deck and got to the end of my deck a lot, because I love the idea of adding 2 5 checks. I don't think we are. I'm trying to find a non-meme version, because if you want to just meme, all the other versions I showed on this stream work. I'm trying to find something with a little legitimacy. It means having defense mostly. By the way, Heroic Clash, funny enough, one of my favorite things about it, after you block an attack with this card, the attack deals no damage. Why? Why is this on this fucking card? Is this why it's a 1 check? Is this the most powerful attack in my deck is now also an Omni block, and that's why it has to be a 1 check? Why did we put this here? It's Infinity Symbol. Everybody has throw hate now on a fucking 1 check. Why is it a 1 check? I think we could play these. Hardened Barrage and Rapid Punches, right? These are just like, in All Might, these are just 5/5s. These are 5/5s to start, at worst. And we get to unflip stuff. We'll put these here for now. We'll check these out. I don't know if these play very well with pull no punches, though. Well, I guess you sequence it, right? You just do the other names first. I put these in the side to fuck around. By the way, I actually did have it. These are like possibly if something else catches my eye. Tejas Smash, we don't give a shit about discarding cards. We're in there. We're gonna have so much card flow. It's gonna be sick. So we just run out 16 attacks probably. Do these both block mid? Ew. All my attacks block mid. I don't hate that, but it's kind of ew. Yeah, running these as a 40 mid block deck. Look at it. It's only mid blocks almost so far. I think that's okay, though. I think we're alright with that. I don't hate that. And there's not many other better punches on this symbol. Karate Chop could be good, but it's like stun 2 at best. And sometimes it's not. I don't know. Focus attack wouldn't really work. Kind of like the idea of Missouri Smash, but I think it's actually just these 16. I think we're just cool with this. And then we're playing a 1 check with 3 diffs. Oh, award the victors on this symbol too. Oh, shit. Oh, it's too good not to do. Come on. It's too good not to try. gotta at least put one of in here. I'm gonna put 2. We only really care about the one check turn 1, maybe turn 2. It'll be fine. Hero's Inspiration is actually pretty sick with Heroic Clash, I think. Right? I can draw a card during Heroic Clash, and then it just gets removed. If we absolutely have to. Well, I guess it's not that much different than, like, this card. But now we have the check bonus. Huh. Is this worth it just for the All Might enhance? The draw 2 enhance? It can't be, right? Gotta have speed and damage reset. Gotta have speed hate. Ugh. This is tough. It's tough to have this many 2s. This attack. Student of the Art would be funny if we had actual synergy. With cards leaving our card pool. Binding in its name. Alright. So here's probably what's gonna be the best foundation in this deck will be... Oh, it's further down. Alright, well, let's put some all worked up in here. Get that bonus to our check. This card is going to be pretty sick. This we need 4 of. And Destined. So we can check good. Oh, now we need some really good 0 divs, which are going to make up most of our deck, actually. Do we want Easily Excited? I don't think we actually do. I don't think we want that in this one. Let's go back over here. Let's trim this down. We're at 60. That's not bad. That's way better than I thought, actually. I thought we were going to be at like 70 cards. I would like this to be 50 cards, but maybe 60 is just the right number. Because we do get to draw a bunch with All Might and through our attack lineup. Huh. Let's check out the mid-block foundations. Oh, there's almost none. And they're ones we really want. Alright, sick. Alright, let's trim one baby. And let's trim one capture from the main. Destin's way too good. Let's trim one of these. It's fairly situational, but we need more low blocks still. All worked up. We'll go 3 on this. How many cards am I discarding? Texas Smash. That's it. Alright. 56 because we got bad checks and we have a bunch of card draw, right? We're going to draw what we need eventually. I'm not super happy with the level of speed hate. So let's bump this up. And actually that's our only speed hate on the symbol. Oh, we have a reset. And let's get one more. Oh, we have 2 resets. Alright. 2 resets. And then let's hit one more specialist because it lets us look at the top card of our deck when we check it too. And then we're back up to 58. We're kind of even on block spread, top and bottom, right? And we don't have too many attacks, but they're all 4 difficulty. They all pretty much hit like a truck. Yeah, this is 7 damage. This is 7 damage. This starts off at, what was it? 5. Yeah, this starts out 5 low for 4. So And so I think the biggest thing about this deck is going to be if Hardened Barrage hits, we get to unflip Destined. That's our combo. That's like we can navigate this turn with 0 risk. Because we're going to unflip. If it's an attack, we're going to draw it. Or we're going to flip this, sorry. If it's an attack, we're going to draw it. If this hits, we're going to unflip it, do it again. And hopefully we'll just check a bunch of 5s. Also, if you're at less than half health and you start hitting with Barrage's Daunting Message, just starts tapping their best stuff, really good. We want to unflip Chivalrous Competitor with Barrage, right? So this is going to become like a really solid poke for us. This is going to be like the attack we actually just put all of our speed on and make our opponent deal with. And hopefully, you know, we just get some nice pokes for momentum in there. Anyways, guys, I've been at it for a couple hours now. I got some stuff on my chest. I got to listen to you guys, and you know, I think we're all just pretty much in the same place right now when it comes to Chrome Rares and the first edition and Unlimited and all that good stuff. So I'm gonna take off. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm gonna plug the socials real quick. That's my YouTube. I'm going to upload all my past broadcasts and everything to YouTube, so please go check it out. Give this channel a follow if you want to get alerts, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. I'll see you guys this weekend, actually. If you don't see me tomorrow with the Unfun Fridays weekly, this weekend, the Webcam Regional, I'm going to be doing the broadcast, so I will see you guys then. Much love. Peace out.